That's all right. No, all right, guys, thank you very much for coming. Just to give a quick introduction to this is an event organized by TEDxUniversityofMalta and Lovin Malta. And basically, what we thought about doing over here was we came up with Tommy was very clear about us not talking about entrepreneurship because it's like, what kind of word did you say it is?
I don't remember. It was a bad word. But
it was a bad word.
It's been overused.
It's been overused. So we came up with the concept of sort of when money is not the point, you know, to talk about, instead of entrepreneurship, more about kind of the passion and the drive that's involved in business. And I wanted to just start off by asking you guys, see if anyone wants to volunteer, about why you came here and what you want to achieve from this, because it will help direct a bit the discussion as well. So I just want a couple of volunteers say sort of what you came here for. Anyone jump in? No? Zach? Yeah? I'm not gonna get the mic, so you're gonna have to shout.
Okay, shout.
Yeah.
I guess when I saw an event like this, I thought it would be a great place to meet people with the same mindset.
Alright, cool.
And understand, I guess, where we're all gonna, I guess, how we can all work together and collaborate to make things work for us.
Everyone's on that wavelength, or anyone wants something different from here? Everyone's alright. So I'll just introduce very quickly the people that we've got. So we've got Matthew Benzina from eCabs, Tony Diacono from Fat Louise and New York Best, and Sandro Valentino from Valentino. Okay. That's it? Yes. So I'll just start off by asking a couple of questions to the people we've got on the panel. But obviously, this is more of a Q&A. So as soon as you guys have a question yourselves, just let me know and we'll ask it to the people that you want to ask it to. All right? Good? So guys, maybe you can just start off by telling us why you guys are here and why you accepted this invitation. What do you think you can contribute to the people who have signed up for this? I'm going to sit down and hear them.
I believe that, unfortunately, in Malta, 90% of the wealth is owned by 10% of the people. So it's about time that we get out of our comfort zone and start thinking what we can do to start contributing more to the society we live in. Unfortunately, we live in a very spoiled and selfish society. We never leave our nest, and the people tend to live in a situation where they never challenge the status quo. That's why.
And in your business, you felt that you've challenged the status quo?
Yeah, the thing is, I am a product of the Maltese educational system, which is very, very conservative. And it's very mechanical and fabricated, sort of. And during my time when I was studying, I said, I do not want to be part of this system. Like, you study, you end up working in one of the glamorous industries, you end up working in industries and in companies which are accepted by society, they are glamorous in nature, but no one challenges the status quo. And it was very, very, very simple, because in the course which I studied, one of the researches I've made, I asked the question, in which industry do you see yourself working in? And 70% of the people said they want to work in the finance industry, which only accounts for 25% of the GDP. And then you have underperforming industries like the tourism industry, the transport industry, and many other industries where they have plenty of potential, but unfortunately they do not attract the right human resources because they're not glamorous or sexy, as we say.
Tom, do you think you've challenged the status quo?
I want to be much less technical.
Lower the music a bit.
Lower music. Can you lower the music? Another one? Yes? I want to be much less technical than Matthew.
Go for it.
The difference is that they're both very professional. I mean, Matthew, uber professional as in university graduate, as an architect. I was the complete opposite, undisciplined. And I am still. But then what I did was I found something I really loved, which was eating and drinking and food and space, without being too serious, and I applied it maybe in an insane way to the brand, and that's how we managed to challenge the status quo, like say, through our products, the look of the place, the music we played. So, and it's right. We kept growing the business because of my drive, I guess.
And today, do you think you can inspire other people to do the same? Is that why you want to do this? Or?
I'm sure I can, because like I said, I didn't go to university. My attention span is god awful. I mean, so, but I really believe in my product and what I'm doing. So it's possible without the academic tools, so to speak.
Sandro?
Yes, I think, I mean, we work in an industry which, at the moment, like many industries in Malta, is very busy. There's a lot going on, there's a lot of construction, a lot of people are investing in property. But when is the last time you looked around you and you saw something maybe that you liked, something which looks good? An area filled with trees rather than buildings. So I think maybe we are trying to, what we do at our office, which is still very young, we're only just starting, but we are trying to focus a little more on quality rather than quantity. Challenging even scales of projects. A project doesn't have to be big and seen by many people in the limelight, sort of, even something small.
Give us an example of a small project that you've worked on that's been big to you.
Well, we worked on a small project with Matthew. We worked on a small booking office for e-cabs, which was good because Matthew gave us a bit of a carte blanche to almost do what we want, and he gave us his input when the input was needed, rather than dictating the terms, sort of, and we just did what he told us to do.
Was he the perfect client in that sense?
In a sense, yes, he was. I'm not saying this because he's here in front of me, but
very incestuous gathering, by the way, guys, as you can see.
People come with a lot of preconceived ideas to their architect. I want this like this, I want to do this. But Matthew told us what he wants to achieve, and he told us basically where he wants to arrive to with his project, and he let us deliver that project to him. And today, I feel very satisfied when I receive a message from him. He'll be sitting in the office and he tells me, it feels good just being here. It feels good just sitting here. I mean, he's a very busy guy. So receiving a message from him like that gives me the encouragement that we are maybe doing the right thing.
So when did you discover your passion for what you're doing? When did you realize you wanted to build stuff?
I perhaps chose the more traditional sort of way of doing things. I mean, I went to university, chose a safe, profession, maybe like the ones you were referring to before. I don't photograph very well. But I don't know, it started when we were very young. I used to play with Lego a lot. So that gave me maybe some tools of basic tools, how to follow plans and build things, and it just kept on growing from there.
Tom, back to the attention span. When did you discover this passion for food and places and stuff like that? Was it?
I never discovered it. I inherited it. I come from an insanely obsessed with food family. So it was always there. It was ingrained with the eating culture. So from my parents, my grandmother, it was a
different kind of food, though.
Yeah, obviously classic Mediterranean, but there was always this obsession with food. Then I had an experience. I never wanted to go to university. I didn't feel school was my thing, so I did a bit of this, I did a bit of that. Then I ended up in Libya doing helping my dad. My dad had some business there in trading of heavy equipment in oil and gas industry in Libya. And I learned a lot about human nature, about money. It forced me to grow up. And shit went sour in Libya. Like it wasn't sustainable, the business there. And I came back and I said, listen, I need to do my own thing. What do I love? Food, eating, drinking. I'm not going to open another place with an Italian name. How many places can you see with Italian names and Italian cuisine with the pseudo-Mediterranean? So I said, let's do something cool, Americana, but as European as possible. So that's why New York best, because it's the first stopover from Europe to the States, and you can do Americana, but still do pizza, and it gives you a lot of ambiguity menu-wise. That was the idea. And my brother was working at the family restaurant. I said, let's start pizza, hot dogs, but let's do it right. Let's have burgers pink. Beginning it was like, this is raw. You want to give me salmonella? Salmonella doesn't. You know what I mean? It's fun. It's funny now. It wasn't funny back then. We had rents to pay. We had salaries to pay. We had a couple of customers that literally came in, and it was written on the menu, served pink unstated otherwise. And when we had people throw the burger back into the kitchen when we tried to explain, nobody, it's safe to eat it pink. So now it was unheard of, and that sort of put us on the map.
So when you were coming up with this idea, was it like, did you care about making money from it? How important was it?
It was never about money. Like, it still is never about money. If I feel I need fucking turquoise neon bones on the ceiling that I can't afford, I'm gonna find a way to get them there because business needs it, you know? And then I feel the sales will follow. But I follow my heart more than my brain. Unfortunately, my accountant. I just stress it a bit.
I guess it's working though, right? Matt, how did you discover your love for what you do?
Obviously, as I said, I never wanted to follow what others were doing, and I used to see a lot of potential in other industries which are underperforming. And when I was studying, I was working in the EFL industry, and I was becoming streetwise. Working in St. Julian's, working in Parcherville, getting to know people, building social capital, getting to know people. I said, if someone can do it, I can do it better. I obviously studied the industry. I was very technical, as Tom was saying, in how I did and how I implemented my plan. And obviously everything fell in place. I think our secret was that we had the physical and the psychological stamina to withstand the pressures of working in the industry. Because when you work in the restaurant industry, when you work in industries which peak when society is having fun, it's a question of having the physical stamina, because you need to work nights, you need to work weekends, and also the psychological stamina, because you end up losing your social circles, losing friends, and working when the rest of society is socializing, having fun.
You said you sort of knew that if someone else could do it, you could do it better. But what sort of gives you that confidence? Like, are there times when you feel like you have some insecurities and maybe you won't be able to do it better?
The transport industry, and this happens it's been happening all over the world. The transport industry, it has been overprotected by different governments and different city councils all over the world, and throughout the years it accumulated a lot of fat. So it's a very powerful lobby, uneducated lobby, and obviously there was no vision. But the fact that they were very powerful as a lobby group, they managed to protect their monopoly, and this happened all over the world. And one of the reasons why Uber is successful nowadays all over the world is because they are eating up from the fat that has been accumulating over the years. I saw a potential because I said, listen, I can drive, like can they do, but they can't think as we do from a management strategy vision perspective.
So what was can you remember a moment where you said like, all right, I've succeeded, I'm really sure now things are gonna do well? Like, what was the highlight of setting up your company?
The highlight is when people who never identified with the industry, as I always say, we have two kinds of customers: internal customers and external customers. External customers are people who call, people who never thought of taking a taxi, of riding a taxi to go home after a night out or during the day. And also internal customers. Internal customers are potential human resources. People who never considered working in the industry. Nowadays you have people coming from more glamorous industries, as I said before, willing to work in our industry. And this is something which we managed to achieve in a short period of time to change the negative perception associated with the industry. So when I see a Maltese person who up until 7 years ago used to work in the gaming industry, and nowadays he's identifying with the transport industry, which was very dirty as an industry, it's a major achievement.
What about you, Tom? When did you realize this is really working?
I never really get that feeling. So of like that safety unseen. But I think one of the best feelings was once I was in the airport. I don't know where I was flying alone, and I had a group of people behind me, and one of the guys told his friends, no, I'm pretty sure I went to a New York Best in Barcelona, it's an international franchise. And so that was like, we're doing a good job. But the actual feeling of going, like, everything's good, I never had
it. Doesn't get any easier, so.
No. The goalposts are always changing, and catering isn't an easy business. It's a continuous. I think you're in trouble if you ever feel like that, to be honest.
Did you go through phases, but of having like, I don't know, a lot of anxiety, a lot of.
Of course, I have a little.
You become better at dealing.
I have a little. No, you don't. I have a little pharmacy next to my bed. You get smarter, not better. But Malta is a frustrating market. Just as Sandra said before, it's quantity, not quality based. So it's frustrating when you get complaints that our product is expensive when I know it's not. I mean, we're not positioned cheap. We use premium products. My pan-European friends, when they visit, they keep staring at the menu and they're like, how do you sell at these prices? Which Malta isn't a cheap country food-wise. We import everything. Energy is expensive. Labor isn't cheap. We don't have very low salaries compared to big cities. I mean, they're lower, but the food cost makes up for it, you know? And so it's very frustrating to see a market based on quantity, not quality.
So for you, success would be changing that market, the way like for Matthew it is making someone want to
But that's what we're doing. We are changing the market. When you see our following on Instagram and the demographic, it's always the younger, smarter, educated who follow us and get the humor, get the product. We're slowly changing it. It's a slow process. The same thing is like now that the new brand Fat Louise allows us to do. We wouldn't have been able to serve prawns at New York Best with freak people the fuck out completely. Can you imagine? So and we still do it here. But that's our plan always, you know, to do a Veal burger and rabbit kidneys on toast, and which is sad because these are things our grandparents did. They just got lost in time, I guess.
Making us hungry now. Sandro.
This food.
Yeah.
Good timing. We timed it.
So for you, when was like? Can you think of any best moments like that? Like Tommy's walking in an airport and hearing people talk about a franchise that doesn't yet exist.
I think first of all, we like I said before, we are still very young. Matthew and Tommy have both opened their businesses way before us. We're not even 2 years old yet. But I think real gratification comes when internally and externally, when you see your team working together to produce something of value and everyone is on the same boat. In fact, we have a small office, we are 5 people, and we try to promote our projects as being built by these 5, 6, 7 or whatever people that are at the office. It's not a project made by Sandro, by Zoe, or by Peter, or by whoever else is in the office. So it's a team effort, gratifying moments, I think, come mostly when you see that people are understanding your work, or your client has understood what you tried to do for them. Again, case in point, Matthew's project like before. Also, we are in a creative industry where a project takes a long time to be built. So true gratification also comes when you see something built, which you've been working on for 2, 3, 4, 5 years. And also,
how do you deal with that? The fact that your rewards come so later on. Like I guess for Matthew and Tommy, they're pleasing people as they go along every day. You know, in your case, you've got to wait 3 or 4 years. That's a lot.
Takes time. It takes long, and you build a relationship with your client based on that time. I mean, it's like having a boyfriend or a girlfriend. You speak to these people every day. You fight. You get annoyed at each other. You challenge each other. You question each other all the time. So it can be very tiring. But at the end of that tiring process, if you see that your client is happy with what they have, and you are happy with the results you managed to achieve, then it becomes all worthwhile, and you get the energy to keep on going.
They're going to be enjoying that product all their life, I guess, so that's pretty cool.
Until cracks start appearing.
Until you get sued. Alright, so we have our first question from the floor, which is very good. Anyone else who is inspired to ask a question, please do so. Maybe you want to introduce yourself.
So thank you for your brief introduction. I'm lucky enough to know at least 2 of you rather better than Sandro. But my question is, what is the opportunity you see in the current human resource market? Because I understand human resource, especially in all 3 industries, is very important. So we spoke about the challenges, but I also see opportunities. Do you see opportunities in the current human resource market going forward? I mean, Matthew attracts a different human resource, Tommy probably as well, and Sandro, you're dealing only with the largely professionals. But what are the opportunities there, being based in Malta, actually?
Yes, I am sometimes involved briefly with the university just to go and see student projects and reviews. And I must say that the standard is very high at university. The students produce fantastic work. In fact, I was speaking to one of them earlier. They inspire us as much as we are supposed to be inspiring them. So the human resource in architecture, the talent is there. I think it is extremely important for these students, there are some of you here, not to lose that excitement which they have at university, that drive, that motivation to produce something new and different when they start working. Because the working world is very different to life at university, because you start dealing with client problems, cracks in ceilings, water coming in, planning authority, and all these things which can very easily destroy your project if you don't have the energy and motivation to follow it through. So I think the human resource in our case is there. It just needs to be, it's up to them really to keep motivated and to keep that energy there to contribute positively in the industry once they start working.
Tom, same question to you. Like you talk about the Maltese market not being sort of educated enough for your product in some respects. Do you feel that? Oh yeah. Do you feel you can say that? You can correct me. But what is the opportunity of Malta? Like, do you see something about Malta that makes it more interesting for you to set up here and to set up somewhere in Barcelona, for example?
I think Malta is a perfect test market. I mean, our ultimate goal is to export the brand, all the brands. The funny thing about Malta is that even though a lot of us complain, it's English speaking, we're social media savvy. You get onto a boat to Sicily, and there's a huge gap, or Napoli, the south of Italy. So things aren't that bad here. The English speaking population gives us an edge from both sides. So there's lots of opportunity. The expat population, I mean, I don't know many Scandinavians, Germans. So you can see there's going to be a nice growth. I feel that in 5-6 years, if the island plays its cards right, to be a mini Barcelona in the middle of the southern Mediterranean.
What about you, Malta? What's the opportunity?
In the beginning, it was tough. because we did not fit the industry stereotype. Like the average driver was a 40, 50-year-old guy who was going to trust a 24-year-old boy. Now, after 7 years, things have changed. So from a blue-collar perspective, it's been easy. The flow of blue-collar employees have been flowing in. Our next challenge is attracting white-collar employees, the professional staff, IT people, management staff. Because still there's a stigma around the industry. One of the biggest challenges of the transport industry is the fact that people still find it not as glamorous as other industries. So the gaming industry, the finance industry, etc. So when it comes to blue-collar employees, it's okay. Things have changed because we've managed to start attracting the right people. But still now, the next challenge is to start making our operating environments and our working cultures better to attract better quality human resources.
Satisfied with the answers? Good. Any more questions? Anyone else has a question they'd like to add? Go ahead, stand up and be louder.
So, Matt, I'd just like to ask, how did you tackle how the market was, I guess, the lobbying groups and that part of the challenge that you faced with entering the market?
One of the most challenging hurdles sort of was dealing with the white taxi drivers. They had the biggest market share all over the island. They have intimidated politicians for the past 60-70 years, and that was one of the biggest challenges because it was not an easy group to lock horns with. And we managed to challenge that lobby group by being emotionally intelligent. So we never got threatened, we got challenged. We even had court cases, but we always fought in a diplomatic way. And over a period of time, rather than fighting with our mouths and with our physical bodies, we fought with our heads. As I said, our biggest competitive advantage was I could drive like they could do, but they could not think as we did.
Tom, did you ever have any problems with lobby groups, or maybe challenging the very big players? I mean, you went against people like McDonald's, I guess, to an extent.
Okay, we had a few issues with from the same context. People saying it was illegal to serve pig burgers. That was basically it. So
They were wrong.
they're wrong.
Yeah, we can freestyle a bit. All right. I've got another question. How have your experiences changed who you are today? As in, how have they changed your friendships, your relationships?
Completely. I mean, I only met Matt like 2 years ago, and we met, and it was like, I'm another freak. So, no, because it's true. Because you start annoying your friends who
Become a bit obsessive, I guess.
become obsessed. I mean, you can tell they start rolling their eyes behind your back. You're like, fuck. And then I met this I got on the same level of insanity where never brought him on board. He ended up moving in, so it's just you end up changing who your friends are completely. You get closer to the guys that go through the same challenges. You help each other. You understand each other. You learn from each other. There's a quote. I'll let Matthew do the quote.
You're the average of the 5 people you spend most time with.
Oh. It does.
Oh, smart.
I'm not good at quotes, but it's true. You do, and
Did you all get that, by the way? Because I don't know if it was... Yeah. All right.
and I don't want to say it sounding like a dickhead because you have lots of friends like you'd have grown up with, and it's life. You take different roads. Sometimes you just need to let some fuckers go, like curling, ciao, and start spending more time with people who are driven, less cynical, because you get lots of people that just bring you down when you have these crazy ideas. And we just fuel each other. Listen, I have this idea. We're going to get the money. Fuck it, go to the bank. We do this. Like sometimes we have brainstorm meetings for each other's businesses, or and you just let's meet on a bad day. Bottle of wine. It's very important to make a decision and adjust your personal surroundings to your professional position because it has a huge effect.
Sandro, what do you think about that? Have you also gone through those sort of moments of realizing that people you were friends with all of your life perhaps weren't as driven as you, and becomes a bit complex to deal with them? That's it.
I like to think you can learn, a very diplomatic answer, but you can learn from everyone who you surround yourself with. Obviously, you do get drawn to people who are more like-minded, and you learn and you fuel each other, like Tommy was saying. Tommy spent about a year telling me that I should branch off on my own, set up with my partner and all this, to the point that used to annoy me. But yes, I mean, you end up staying in circles where you try to learn from each other, but I like to think that you can take something out from everyone. You can learn from everyone.
Matt, how has your business changed you?
One of the things which I've learned is that in life, you cannot have everything at the same time. In order to excel in something, right? Nowadays, life bombards you with a lot of things. But in order to excel in something, you can have everything in life, but not at the same time. And something which I have learned, and sort of I proved to myself, that you focus on one thing at the same time, you excel in that thing. Once you reach that purpose, you skip on to something else, and things will fall automatically in place. Yes, spending time with the right people helps, and sometimes it works that when you start identifying with people who are on the same mental level.
We're eating better as well now.
I'm guessing better too.
Any more questions? Anyone else? Yeah.
How do you guys kind of see the motto? We have this way mentality.
It's a fucking nightmare, man. You end up being the villain. When our passion makes us the villain.
But you see it as an advantage, for example,
No,
some of you guys, or does it?
It's an advantage to us because it gives us edge over our competition. But then it's a disadvantage from day to day, with day-to-day, internally, externally, people doing jobs for you. Like Sandra has so many stories. I mean, like say the project Sandra did for Matt, the office. I'd visit with them and see him. So
I think it's a problem. It's a problem. There is a culture in Malta, unfortunately, of we are short, and I've heard stories even of professionals. For example, I don't know, this guy told me that his architect left only 5 centimeters for him from the concrete floor to do the tiles. So he couldn't pass any pipes on this floor, and his architect told him, well, yes, just cut through the ceiling, These things are crazy, because kollox jgħaddi, u hija mhux xorta, everything goes. It's a problem. It's a problem of communication as well, because when you try to push for quality, sometimes people don't understand you, some contractors don't understand you, and you end up becoming the villain, because that guy is causing a lot of problems for me, we need to get rid of him. So even clients start looking at you and saying, like, what are you doing? Why are you causing so many problems in this project? But no, I'm trying to do it for the benefit of the project. But no, because that guy in our industry, it gets quite complicated, because there are so many people involved in producing a project, a building, a small project like of Matthew, and we used to go on site, there used to be 20 people in one room on top of each other. And everyone has an opinion. Everyone wants to put their mark on something, and when people see something of quality being built, everyone wants ownership of it. So everyone starts giving their opinion. And it just becomes more and more complex. It is a problem, things are changing slowly. The standard of quality is going up. The thing is, everyone is very, very busy at the moment. So sometimes quality gets shelved, just to get something done on time, which is a problem.
Tom, same question. Like when it comes to this idea of mediocrity or everyone accepting the average, how hard is it for you to run, you know, four or how many restaurants? Five restaurants, and maintain that quality. Like, don't you get staff who just don't have the same passion you do?
Obviously, I'm known as the psychopath of the company. Luckily, my brother's my partner. Is calmer, but it's a daily challenge. I have these strict brand values for the outlets, vis-a-vis look, music, plants, the type of music. We have a Spotify playlist. I don't want any fucking Beyonce in the shop. It's very. So it's tough to for people to understand your passion. It's something we want to do. I feel a huge problem we have is the amount of university students doing part-time jobs as a ratio compared to other pan-European countries. I wouldn't know about the States. So
doing too much or too little?
Too little. I had an experience in one of my outlets where an Irish friend of mine, who was a trained lawyer, asked me for a part-time job while he was here for a gap year to play rugby. And he elevated the whole team to a whole new level. And it was an eye-opener for me. I said, imagine all these university students that are studying law, part of the stipend scheme would be, I'm not saying don't give a stipend, double the fucking stipend. Do a public-private partnership, and if you're studying law, you have to work in a fucking pizzeria for your first year, part-time, 16 hours a week. What difference is it going to make? You're going to learn how to deal with people, you're going to learn how to deal with money, you're going to learn how to go to places at times you don't want to, and do it anyway, and then you earn your stipend, and it's double, and it's paid half public-private. And part of the idea I had was that it has to be nothing to do with your industry. So not even you're studying architecture and you go work in a
architecture firm.
Grazie. Actually, like it has to be, and you learn how to.
I think that needs a clap or no clap. Yeah?
Okay, wait, no, I know my point.
Up as well. No, that's a good point.
It's a good point. I know it will change everything, and I know it even more when I go to places like London, and you go to a pub, and you meet the barman, and you say something, and it's like, you start talking, and say, yeah, I'm doing a degree in political science, yes? And on the weekends I work here to make some money, because I left home. Here we're all really safe, somewhere, there's always your nonna, your aunt to eat, you live at home till late. You're never really scared in most European countries, apart from Italy and Spain, and I wouldn't use them as an example. But in the UK, you're 18, fuck off, go to school, and you have to get a job to earn rent. If you don't have rent, you're on the street, your fucking flatmates aren't going to pay for you. And we don't have that, we lost that anger, that hunger, and to understand that the world is a cruel place, and we need it.
Matthew wants to say something, sorry. I think now.
So to continue to what Tommy is saying, one of our biggest failures in our tertiary education system is our stipend system. And a simple observation whilst driving on the Birkirkara bypass is that the quality and average age of the vehicles parked in the students' car park is better than that of the administrative staff and the lecturers, which shows that something is not right. We live in a spoiled and selfish society. Me, when I was a student, I used to take the stipend, but deep down, it was unfair that I was taking stipend, because that money, which I was taking, could have been spent more efficiently and effectively in the same education system, but not for me to go out and to spend on a new car or to spend on petrol. And that is why sometimes entrepreneurship in Malta is not encouraged, or people are not encouraged to open up their own business, because we are spoiled. We never leave our proverbial nest. Who agrees with the stipend? If the government of today or of tomorrow, of next administrations, had to come up with a proposal and say, as from tomorrow, no stipend will start be given out, will you lift a finger and protest against it?
I don't think you can remove the stipend now that it's ingrained.
But let's not go too deep into the stipend issue. But there's an issue of
this explains.
Right.
This explains the fact why we live in a spoiled and selfish society.
What about the impact of your businesses? So you have hundreds of cars on the road. I don't know how many. You're building buildings. You're feeding people. Sometimes unhealthy stuff as well. What's do you worry about the impact?
I actually have a huge moral dilemma on what I do, because I'd love to say fuck it, it's the world. You know, you have to play the game. But like after watching Cowspiracy and me being myself, having these like, I don't know if any of you watched this documentary Cowspiracy. No? Yes? No.
Tell us a bit about it.
It's about the carbon footprint that beef leaves and how the trends of beef consumption changed in the last 20 years. It's fucking mind blowing. And I was like, no, pause, Google. That's true. So you can't just ignore it or shut it off. So, I mean, I do the best I can. We recycle all our plastic and all our glass. And that was an initiative we took with Green MT. Not even McDonald's do it. We created a chicken burger section on the menu to try get people and the falafel and try push them more. But then again, I have 70 salaries to pay. The market wants what it wants. You can try to shift it, but yes, I do have a huge moral dilemma about the impact the industry has on.
Sandro.
Same. I mean, we work in an industry which produces an incredible amount of waste. We build in ways which are not sustainable at all. I mean, you put blocks upon blocks, which is what they used to do when they built Neolithic temples. We demolish buildings and throw everything away to build new ones, you know. So yes, that is what is being done. What can we do about it ourselves? How do you mitigate that? I mean, we ourselves deal with small-scale projects. So far, we're not building any of these fancy towers which are popping up all over the place.
You wouldn't say no to it, I guess, if you were given that contract. Yeah.
Depends. No, there are sustainable ways to do things. I think we don't really know what sustainability really means, because it's a buzzword which is thrown around very often and no one really knows what they're really talking about. But yes, we try to design in ways which use passive systems of cross-ventilating buildings, insulating buildings, encouraging clients to plant trees in their front garden, which is a massive fight usually because no one wants to do it. But every so often then you find that, I mean, hopefully some genius will come along who will really revolutionize things like this. Like this today, my partner mentioned someone like Tesla, you know. So these people do come along who revolutionize everything completely. So we need these people, and that's why people out of university need to keep on following their dreams and goals to actually, every so often you find one person who really does change things.
Matt, what about you? Do you have a moral dilemma on what you do? Or?
Yes, we do, and we are addressing it. Unfortunately, the industry which I work in, the carbon footprint which ECAS leaves as a company is huge. And directly, as from this year, I can announce that we'll be doing a pilot project where one of our cars will be changed into a gas car. So it will be fueled by gas, not by diesel. And it will be a pilot project. We see how it goes, and if it works, and it will give us the same operational efficiencies which we are currently enjoying, even if it's slightly less, we'll go ahead with the project. Then, from an infrastructural perspective, example, the logistics center which we are currently building, we invested a lot in landscaping. And we know that our position is quite prominent, and we made the point that we invest heavily in plants, trees, so that one, we try and mitigate our carbon footprint, and also we try and set an example to developers and people who are industry leaders when it comes to developing properties, to include more greenery and trees in the buildings.
Alright guys, so we've got about 5-10 minutes left. Just wondering if anyone else has any questions. I know you want to ask. I'm just wondering if there's someone else who hasn't yet. Yeah?
What advice would you give to people who would like to start a new business or a non-profit organization?
Say it again.
What advice would you give to people who want to start a business or a non-profit organization? Anyone in particular you want to ask, or
Any of you, really.
any of you? Who's going to volunteer?
There's never the right time. That's the only advice that I can give. You're never going to have a time in your life where you say, now it's perfect. I have the right team behind me, I have the financing, it never comes. If you feel passionate enough about something, you just have to take the plunge and have the willingness to look like a fucking idiot in front of everyone. That's it.
Matt?
If you have
The same. Passion is the most important component. If you're passionate about something and you're not motivated by money, you'll definitely manage. So I can reassure that the three of us over here, we're not motivated by money, we're motivated by our passions. So if you're passionate about the subject or about the business or the NGO which you are planning to start up, just go for it.
Sandro, anything to add? Okay.
and ask for help. You'd be surprised how helpful what you see most successful people in like very positive positions, how they're ready to help you if you honestly go and say, listen, I have this idea, help me. And you'd be surprised how helpful people can be.
I think you need to go for it, not just for the sake of doing it, because at the moment, and like we said before, the word entrepreneur is used a lot and everyone's an entrepreneur, and sometimes you see people's job descriptions and it's like a paragraph long or their email signature which is never ending. You need to do it if you really have a clear goal in your head, you're willing to take the risk, take the plunge, and you have a goal which is motivated by what you really truly want to do and love doing.
Satisfied with that answer? Alright.
Thank you.
You're going to ask a question?
If I'm not mistaken, Matthew started off with one car, actually, and Tommy from a stand. Coming from that, what would you say was the turning point in your business, vis-a-vis finance for the business and sales?
At what
Was
stage
there- was
did you
there a
take that
turning
next
point?
level?
I did not understand the question. What would you say was a turning, or was there a turning point when your business took off? For example, when was there always a consistent growth, or was there a sudden change, something you did?
In our industry, it was already underperforming. So once we commenced operations, growth was constant throughout the years because the industry and the country was yearning for an operator. So to a certain extent, I was lucky, but then the biggest challenge was the physical and the psychological stamina which you need to withstand the pressures of working in the industry. So yes, from a revenue monetary perspective, it was beautiful. All right, but then the biggest challenge was dealing with the cultures and as I said, the physical and the stamina which you need to withstand the pressures of the industry.
Tom, when did you go from a stand to 5 restaurants?
I never had an actual point of, like you said, like now we've made it. It was always a constant because we always bit off more than we could chew in a sense, but managed to pull it off. Don't ask me how. So I never really had that feeling. We signed the first outlet with no financing. Literally the first loan, I borrowed money from friends to secure a Jeremy loan, which is for SMEs with Bank of Valletta for 20,000 euros. Like, I do have moments where I say, Lalu, now this ice cream machine cost 20,000 euros. Back then, I built a restaurant with 20k, you know. But I never really had that feeling of it's just because it was so linear and organic, the growth. And we always had this don't forget, we opened 5 restaurants in 5 years. So stand. First restaurant outside of university with a tiny rent and a very small bank commitment. Then we went to Slim, but was big, so we're always with this like drowning feeling, but managing to stay above water. So we never really had a moment where we went, if that's the question.
It is. Well done. Any other questions?
I think the word entrepreneurship nowadays is used and abused. Like you, I know most of you. I would like to shed light on the sleepless nights that you went through in the beginning of your business.
Yeah, what was the hardest moment? What were the moments when you said, "What the hell am I doing now?"
When I signed the Slim outlet, which is 240 square meters, with a supposed secured €50,000 loan, I needed 180 with BOV, and they refused the loan. And I was
You had already signed.
I had signed, and fortunately I had overspent at university, but I paid everyone back before going to buy a nice car. So every little bit of money we made, I paid back everyone in time. In fact, the broken down Fiat 500 till about like a few months ago. You know what I mean? So people believed in me, and like I say, one of the biggest catering equipment suppliers on the island, ECB. Mario, the director, when I found out the bank had let me down, I needed €120,000 worth of kitchen equipment. I actually went to the guy and told him, listen, I don't have any money. The bank said no, but I'll fix it. But can you give me the things anyway, because I need to open? And he looked at me and said, what, you're not going to give me anything? Not even like a 10% deposit? And at the time I was in rugby shorts, a t-shirt full of drainage, because I was working on site with builders, and I don't know if you like, I'd give you a hug. I said, you can ask him, Mario VCV, and he looked at me and told me it's better than nothing. And 2 weeks later he sent a 40-foot container of kitchen equipment without giving him a cent. And I only fixed the problem a year later, because I managed to get financing for junior college and overcompensated with the bank and to pay off all debts. So, fun story. I think I'm saying more than I should because of the wine.
That's fine. We might not publish it. Rod, you want to ask a question?
I was going to elaborate on this because initially it said it's not about money, but at the end of the day we all know when you hit the baseline, it's the baseline. So how do you manage? They say 90% of the money is owned by 5% of the people. So how do you manage to remain buoyant and succeed on a day-to-day basis, especially? How do you manage stresses with money? Because anyone who's doing business today will have different stress in managing cash flow, money. How do you deal with that? I mean, do you provide people with tips on how you go about your daily lives?
Alright, so this is the last question, unless anyone is really... No. Yeah? You. Alright, so it's not the last question. One answer.
Yes, we work in an industry where you do not necessarily need a big capital outlay to start up. So for us it was fairly easy. I mean, me and my partner put in €2,000 each into our business. We bought a couple of computers. I borrowed my girlfriend's computer for a year until we could buy computers. So in our case, I don't think I'm the one who should be answering this, and you guys have much bigger capital expenses than
I think if money is managed well, it shouldn't be a problem in any industry. Unfortunately, our education system lacks financial education. And that is the major problem. It's not a question of if you have money or not, it's a question of how you manage your money. And that's it. It's all about timing and implementation of how money is managed.
The actual last question.
What advice would you give to a university student who has an idea or a passion for business? Would you tell him to drop the university or push back the idea, or vice versa?
I think we're gonna get different answers here, which is good. Matt, go for it.
Don't go with the flow. Don't go with the flow. We live in a very close-knit society. We rub shoulders with the same people every single day. And if you don't conform with what society tells you what society expects from you, you need to be seen as someone who's cast out. So Just go against the flow if you believe in your idea.
So he should leave university.
I can answer it a bit more methodically. It depends how much you believe in your idea. If you're not 100% in your idea, finish school and then tackle it after. If you believe in it more than anything, fuck school and go for it. And go for it while you're young and you believe it and you have that feeling. But if you don't have that, stay in school.
Famous last words.
So you answer that quite well. So.
Alright guys, thank you very, very much. Obviously we'll continue the discussion sort of informally after this, but hope you enjoyed it, and we'll be organizing another 2 events like this hopefully in the next couple of weeks and months. And obviously there's the big TEDx conference as well, which will happen in April. So that's just a little promo. This is what this is all about at the end of the day. So thank you very much for coming, and thank you for the amazing insight by Matthew, Tommy, and Sandra.